Hello, Nigeria. Hello, Abuja. We are in the 9 o'clock hour, and I'd say the most anticipated hour because this is where we get to have girl talk, where us girls get to hang out. I'm sorry if I sound too girly, but I mean, Cynthia is not here anymore. She's the one who drags me by my hair all the time and say, it's not all about girls. Boys are people too, boys are humans too, and all of that. But I know they are, but this particular segment is dedicated to the women, to the girls who are killing it out there. And today we have the senior girl. Should I call her a senior? No, we call her all girls here. We have a senior girl. She's here in the studio. Yes, when we see women who are doing extraordinarily well in their field, it is so admirable. And that they have carved something together to help other women live purposeful lives as well. It is something to brag about. So yes, I'm seated next to greatness. You can say that again. All right, guys, this is the 9 o'clock hour, and you have been here with us from the hour of 7 right until now, and you would agree with me that we have quite packed sections from that hour up until now. But we have the last lap of the Rapid done right here on Rapid TV, and my name is still Martha Allo. You can call me Martha. But yes, just so we don't leave somebody out, we have Victor Ake too.
Well, I think you already left me out.
I did it. Why? How?
Okay, let me not drag it because I'm already seated to two beautiful women. I might not survive it if I begin to drag it. Anyway.
I'm glad you know. Wisdom is close to you.
Oh, glory.
That's so nice.
You know. I'm excited to be seated to two beautiful women. Looking forward to the conversation, you know, and I'm hoping that I get enlightened so I can just hear a few things and tell my sisters.
That you can be sure.
That I can be sure for it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Besoye Debo Olujimi. She is the executive director of Emadeb Energy. Welcome, Mom.
Thank you so much, Martha. I got that. I'm pleased to be here today, yes. Joining this conversation, yes.
Glad to have you. You look amazing.
Thank you so much, so do you. I almost wore brown today.
Would have been twinning.
Would have just been twinning.
I wore black. Can someone give me a compliment, please?
I'm sorry.
I like your tie.
Thank you very much. I have to be asking and demanding for it now. Probably begging for it.
It's okay. And it's okay.
You have to do that.
Definitely.
Right. People, not only is she the executive director of Emadeb Energy Group, she is also an author, and she authored the book, which is the reason we're seated right here today. Now, the conversation of self-awareness is one I feel like we don't have as often as we should, especially because, you know, we're in a society where everyone wants to be like everybody. We have a prototype of how everybody should look like, and the model is social media. And we forget that not everything we see on the media space is obtainable in real life. We have young people obsessed with being grown. We have older people obsessed with remaining young. Misplaced identity everywhere. And so the conversation of self-awareness for today's talk is super important. But let's hear from our guest. When we talk about self-awareness, what is it that we mean?
Thank you so much. And you've set the most apt premise. It couldn't have been more apt.
Thank you.
You know, because there's that thing around everybody wanting to be something else than who they are, than what they are, what they really are. And it's really worrisome, I would say. Because when you talk about identity, self-awareness, talks about identity, knowing who you really are. And that, you know, like settles everything. Because once you know who you are, you're comfortable in your skin. You're not struggling. Remember what I said before the show went live? I was like, you know what? We cannot continue to compete with men. Knowing who you are makes you comfortable in your skin, and it makes you know that it's a collaboration with men. It's not a competition.
Actually.
You know, because, you know, we hear women say things like, oh, we want to get into those male-dominated rooms and all of that. And you're fighting the man. Who is going to then open the door for you? Like, I'm just wondering. So these are things that we need to know. And when you talk about self-awareness, it stems largely from a place of knowledge. If you don't know yourself, knowledge, you know, knowing is the root, you know, is the root word for knowledge, actually. Or knowledge is the root word for knowing. Either way, you must know. So that when you know what you're supposed to be doing, or who you are, you know what you're supposed to be doing, you know the people who should actually join you. You know your triggers. You avoid them.
True.
You don't put yourself in situations that will make you, you know, drop the ball. You're very aware And there's something called meta-awareness as well, which means you are aware of what you are aware of. You know, so you're present in every conversation. It's not a thing of constantly having slip of tongue, slip of something. And then that means you're never present.
Yeah.
And the whole world would have passed. You'd have continued to just exist without fully living. So when you're self-aware, that means you know your identity. There's something I put in my book, and it talks about self-awareness starting from identity, ending with legacy.
Okay.
You know, so our legacy is what then, you know, is referred to after we're long gone.
Yeah.
But, you know, we write on the pages of our lives, and then that's what comes together to form our legacy.
Yes.
Legacy means, what do you want to be remembered for?
For.
You see, if we all take a moment, men, women, if you take a moment to just, you know, reflect that, what do I want to be remembered for?
Right.
So maybe the longest, the person that lived, the oldest on earth, lived for, maybe they said 900 and something. That is Methuselah,
Yeah,
right?
Methuselah, yeah.
But I don't know of anybody in our time that has lived up to that.
No.
And the world has been in existence, continuous.
True.
That means even the person that lived the oldest, the life that he has left behind has run longer.
Longer.
So what is he remembered for? So what do I want to be remembered for? That should be something that drives us each day, that drives every of our action, our utterances. You know, we can't afford to be emotional about the things that we do.
Yeah.
That's right.
We must be intentional.
About it.
Because sometimes emotions will just make you behave anyhow. You're just
Anyhow,
all
you
over
can't
the
bank
place.
on it.
Do you know what I mean? Because feelings are fickle.
Very fickle.
We must stay focused, stay grounded on knowledge. You know, we must be very, very rooted in the knowledge of the things that we know. And that should drive us. We must never let anything, you know, throw us off balance and then we're struggling to then, you know,
Find our
you know, the other day I was just reflecting. I like to make time for me, with me.
Very important.
So the other day I was reflecting, and it occurred to me that, you know, sometimes, just sometimes, we don't need those tantrums. Things are not that deep.
They're not that
You know.
deep.
You know, we need to just be with ourselves and recognize that, you know what, the fact that this person has done this thing does not make me who they think I am.
Yeah.
What they say about me does not, you need to know yourself to a place where you're not defined by other people's opinion of you.
Yeah.
And once you know the truth that you know sets you free.
That's
You're
right.
comfortable in your skin. You're not struggling to create an impression or make a point or, you know, or convince people. Because if you spend your whole life trying to convince people, when are you going to start living?
Living.
You know, talking about conviction as well, Yvonne. I remember one time I had a conversation with a friend of mine who runs this feminist group.
Okay.
And he invited me to come speak to the ladies, you know. And when I got there, the first thing that came to mind is that, you know, then the concept was that equality, wanting to be equal with the men and all of that back and forth. And I said to them, you know, not to blow your trumpets, but I think that is something that I believe in. I said to them that if you know the power that a woman carries, you won't even think about competing. You know, I know that the presence of a woman in a room mostly, you know, liberates or helps to ease a lot of things, quality women as it is. But let's come to you now. At what point did you become self-aware? You know, was it a season? Was it a moment? You know, give us that.
I hope we're going to be able to end this conversation at the right time, because
We're here for it.
you know the funny thing is, people say to me, like, I've always been self-aware. I said, they always say, oh, you've always been intentional. I said, me, I don't even know. But you know, you get to a point in life where certain things happen, and oftentimes they probably would be negative,
Yeah.
and they bring you to reality. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
why am I here? What am I doing? So the first one I would say was when I was in a car crash in 2019 in this Abuja,
Wow.
in Wuseitu,
Who said?
broad daylight. You know, the engine cracked, airbags, air curtains, everything came out. And I opened my eyes. I was still on planet Earth. I said, okay,
Step
we
one.
need to
step
start
one,
to do things differently.
Right.
Because, you know, for me, I saw it as an opportunity to live.
Yeah.
Because I could have died.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Some accidents don't even, I mean,
Get that
they
bad.
don't get that bad, and
Yeah.
people lose their lives just from panicking and, you know. So I came out without without losing my mind, and that was a big part of it for me. I started to be more intentional. So if people said I've been intentional before then, now I feel like I started to be more intentional. And I was trying to search my mind to know why exactly I'm here. Why was I spared from that accident?
Yeah.
there's actually a picture of the car in the book. You know, I was like, why was I spared from that car crash? Why didn't I die? From just even panicking or something. You know, so I started to be more attentive to my spirit.
Yeah.
And that's another point I just need to quickly, you know, throw out into this conversation. The fact that we human beings are not just physical beings. So we are made up of our spirit, soul, and body. And, you know, to experience a full life, we must live from our place of intrinsic being. You know, there must be a harmony between our spirit, soul, and body. You know, why people continue to define themselves based on physical and material things would be because they don't understand their full composition. When you know your makeup, when you know that you're not just who wanted to wear brown and now wore pink and now saw someone that wore brown, you know, you would understand that there is more to you than wanting to be like someone else. Like when I saw Martha this morning, I was like, I like your makeup. I don't know how to do makeup like her just yet. But at the end of the day, she says, oh, I like yours as well. But it doesn't, so the uniqueness of every individual, that's one thing as well. So you asked the question, and I don't want us to go away far from it. You said, at what point? So that car crash was a major defining moment for me. So I had a broken arm, multiple fracture, and it had to be fixed. I had a metal plate as long as this with 9 screws. But you know, the funny thing is, my husband was not in town at that point. He heard and he was rushing back and all of that. You know, when I was going into surgery, I kind of had the mindset that by the time I would wake up, my husband would be staring at me. So I programmed it in my mind even before I went into surgery. That surgery lasted for like 7 hours. I programmed it in my mind that my husband would be there and would be too scared, just watching me lifeless. So I said, you know what, I'll wake up smiling. You see, our minds are so powerful.
Surely.
I said, I'll wake up smiling. Of course, I woke up smiling. It was a sour smile. But because it was programmed in my mind that I don't want my husband to be too scared, I wanted him to feel like I was fine and that this is just something that would also pass. So you see, that accident for me was major. It was big. But I mean, at the end of the day, even the doctor said, you know, I think I was discharged it happened on a Saturday. I was discharged on a Tuesday. They were like, oh, you're fine. You can actually go home and just come for your checks and your physio and everything. Of course, it took like another 2 years for the thing to heal. But, you know, in the moment, I was determined to just leave.
And it's super important. I love the fact that it's coming from you because you know the thing about, I'm trying to narrow it down to girls now because it's a girls' conversation.
Of course.
A lot of girls, now I might look at you and say, oh, this is how I want to be. And then I'm threatened at the fact that, oh, this person is here. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, she can even speak English. You know, all this type of all these types of things. It puts us in a very bad place as women. And most times, rather than learn from the people or rather than look up to the people that we should, we now start to compete with the people that we should learn from. And that takes away the essence of life.
I hear you.
We all cannot be in the same position. We all cannot. A ladder has steps, right? So you must be on 1 to be on 5. You must have crossed 1 to be on 5.
That's right.
But if you are on 1 and you automatically want to be on 5, you will come crashing.
Yeah.
And this is a lesson I feel should be put out there as many times as possible. Because if we hear it, then we can internalize it and then we can continue to live it. So as girls, it's super important. I'm putting out there as well. There are people who have not gotten to it. The truth is, somebody might now see you on TV, me now on TV, and say, "Oh, she has made it in this life. Everything is
well, you have made it.
everything." So making it is relative, very relative. You know. So that brings me to my next question. You mentioned the role of self-awareness in discovering purpose. So now, in your view, is purpose a constant discovery or it's a destination? And how does one know that they are truly working in purpose?
Martha,
You're asking the best
these things that you are asking, I hope you are ready for them.
We're here for it.
Because, you know, number one, purpose is not a destination.
Okay.
That's the autograph I put here in this book I want to give you. It says purpose is not a destination. It's a journey of daily intentional living. So we discover purpose as we go along, once we've put our minds to it. And I must say that our lives unfold in seasons. As human beings. So being aware that this is just a season and I'm going to transition into another. But how exactly I handle myself in this season will determine what happens next. And you know, there's something you started that question with, and it's around competing with people that are supposed to inspire you, like really. So I would not have gotten here without my mentors. And you know, there are mentors that you have from afar sometimes. So you've not had the privilege or the time isn't right to come just into the same space,
the same space.
with them. And I have an example of that. It's unbelievable how when you apply your mind to knowledge, you put yourself in that space where you learn, you invest in your growth, then it positions you in the right spaces. So saying that we have women, older women that we look up to, that is something that is priceless. And you know, there is more awareness around that as well. We've seen how everybody needs, most people need that hand holding. We need that hand holding. Like I would say, I need that, which would make me speak about the Made for Impact platform, which is my platform for mentorship and, you know, impact and all the things that I'm supposed to be doing to transform the minds of people in this season. So it's called Made for Impact. The main goal of Made for Impact is so that people know that you can reach out, you can do things differently. You don't have to remain the same way you have started your journey. Purpose is not a destination.
It is a journey.
It is a journey. And the more we apply ourselves to it, the more we're present in the moment, what we should be doing in the next comes to us because the universe hears our thoughts.
Let's take it from the man's perspective a little bit.
Okay.
Right? You know, because we have these allegations, accusations about men, how we often want to shut down the women in rooms. Right? Now, you're a woman you've risen to, you know, high ranking in a male-dominated, you know, sector. Basically. Now,
energy.
yes, you know. So what are those ways, maybe subtle ways as well, too, that, you know, the presence of men, you know, has helped you to grow, you know, and also inspired you.
Why
to
does it feel like
expand?
you are trying to score a cheap point?
Well, no, just trying to know. Well,
Why does it feel like you're trying to score cheap points?
Well, it's not a bad thing to score a cheap point anyway. I just have to align, Martha. Like I said, I can't argue.
And from a cheap point, the points can now become more expensive at the end of the day. So it can become very valuable.
Very valuable.
Thank you so much. You know, this would lead us to something that is really, like I talked about before, in terms of aligning with men.
Right.
To let you into those male-dominated spaces.
Right.
So Emadeb Energy is my husband's brainchild.
Okay.
Yes. I've not always worked with him. Emadeb is almost 2 decades, you know, and when I say my husband's brainchild, I mean he started this Emadeb Energy from scratch. One man looking for the business, doing the business, hard work, not sleeping, being the everything that the business required at the time. And on my path, like, I run a partnership with MTN.
Okay.
And, you know, when you have a senior partner, so MTN will be the senior partner. And for each year, from the first year that I started that partnership has run for over a decade now. For every year I've been on that partnership, we've gotten an award for excellence, for this, for quality, for something. There's always something to commend us for.
Yeah.
And so I guess after watching, you know, that's why you have to give kudos to men. You might think they're not observant, but they are.
Certainly.
I guess my husband must have thought, hold on, no. This girl that is, you know, La potential for partnership for MTN. Me, I'm struggling to have people, because, you know, in the business, I think he had experienced, he had experienced betrayals, you know, people, you know, just, you know, disappointing, because as the business grew, people joined him, you know, and all of that. So when we were about to start the retail arm of the business, he said to me one morning, I'd like you to join me in this business. Of course, I said no. Because I'm like, oil and gas, I don't know, like, you know, and that's the thing. Sometimes women were quickly, you know, we're quick to say, oh, I don't know this. But the truth is, if you look inwards, one of my mentors said to me, you mustn't be a professional in a particular, so long as you have your head and your brain is working, you can apply your knowledge, you know, you can transfer knowledge of whatever it is you feel like you're professional, you're specialized at, into industry. Another thing. Just apply yourself. So talking about, my case is a typical case of a man letting you into the room.
That's right.
So after I'd said no for a bit, I tuned into my spirit, and I kind of understood that he needed support. He needed help to scale the business. Because like I said, the business had started, and I would say we didn't have a lot of visibility because we're doing mainly trading, and now we're going into retail outlets, which gives visibility. You know, that's where you see the brand. You know, you were saying when I came that you know, because now we have our signpost and everything, and they say retailing is a lot of detailing.
Truly.
And give it to women.
Yeah.
We pay attention to details.
Truly.
So I guess that's how my boss and my darling husband said, you know what, come and do this part. And I'm sure he probably knew that there was no way I was going to be able to survive the retail space. So I joined the business. But you know, the first thing I did when I accepted or I agreed to join that business, I sent myself to school.
Okay.
Because you must prepare yourself. You can't just show up anyhow.
Right.
In fact, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, okay, I've run my partnership. A partnership has like, it's like a franchise. It has like a manual. It's easy to run so long as you apply yourself to it. Of course, you'd have your challenges, but you have a guide. But for now coming into our business, I must start to do things in a certain way that shows entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went to, you know, the Lagos, the Pan Atlantic University. Then, you know, I took a course in a certificate course in entrepreneurship management and all of that. And that kind of helped me because the case studies were situated in Nigeria. I understood the mindset. Of course, after that, I went over to the London Business School to do an executive MBA. So there's learning that is required. So you might be allowed into the room. Don't go and fumble there.
What keeps you there?
Right.
Please don't come and shame us.
You know, it's funny that we had a similar conversation yesterday.
Yesterday, yes.
Where we were saying, they said youth engagement or participation in politics. I'm like, you want to be there. Do you have the requisite knowledge to be there?
It's important.
It's one thing to let you into the room. It's another thing to have
function.
the knowledge that sustains you in this.
Right.
And the behavior, the character.
And all of this are
That's
learned.
a whole different ball game
altogether.
entirely.
You know, which has to do with self-awareness. Because if you've accepted an offer, you know within yourself that you don't have all that it requires to function excellently. And excellence is my watchword. Maybe that's why people have always said I've been self-aware, I've been intentional. Whatever it is I did, at whatever level it was, I tried to aspire to excellence. Because, I mean.
See, it looks like you are the one who will make this program not end today. I mean, you're really speaking the word. And to be honest, we have had a lot of conversations around excellence, competence this week.
Yes.
Because it is one thing that is lacking in the workforce, in the Nigerian workforce, whether we like it or not. You pay people an amount of money to get the job done. You still have to babysit them. You still have to micromanage them to get the job done. And a lot of people don't understand the perspective you're coming from. If I must do it, I must do it well.
Right.
If I must do it and be good at it, I must gain the knowledge that it requires me. And it's not a destination. It's a journey.
It's a constant journey.
It's a constant journey.
It's a journey.
You need to.
Right.
Now, you highlighted the importance of a support system, and you talked about mentorship as part of the, you know, the things that helped you in your journey.
Yes.
We cannot deny the fact that we have people who stay in environments that they don't believe in them, they don't have support, they have a lot of distractions. How do you think people like this can cultivate themselves to emerge their best, like their best self?
First and foremost, I'd like to say, the one thing you have control over is your life.
That's right.
And you're the one who would give people the permission on how to treat you.
Exactly.
Once you are aware of that, you see, this self-awareness conversation is a lifelong conversation.
Honestly.
Because once you're aware that, okay, I am the one that has the control, and I can say, thank you, I am going. The world will not come to an end.
Yeah.
Nobody leaves you and the world comes to an end.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that awareness is what I would really, really want to emphasize this morning. And I know that culturally sometimes the girl child is told that you are not to be kinikon, you are not head, you are subservient, you are this. But you know, knowledge helps you to change the narrative.
Yeah.
One of my mentors would also say, you know, a woman should, actually have a male mentor as well. Because, you know, you need mentors for different aspects of your life. Because, you know, if you keep having just women that are your mentors, who gives you the perspective, a male perspective on situations? Because you need that balance. You need that soundboard that can tell you that emotions if I worry. I think you understand. You know. So like I was saying, it's important to know what actually you're cut out for, and that way you see that my mentor, she says every year she goes through her phone, her contact list, and she deletes people that no longer serve her. So you must be able to know the things that serve you, the people, and it's not to say that we use people. And I'll quickly put out here as well that, you know, relationships are for a reason, a season, and for a lifetime.
Okay.
You must identify the ones that, you know, you're in at the moment. Don't be sentimental that, oh, my childhood friend, because we grew up in the same neighborhood, we must continue. Because sometimes they can't even relate with your progress. The things you're talking about is now looking like you're still aspiring to more. They're saying, what else do you want after this? Do you understand?
Right.
So it's important to recognize each, and that it has to do with your attentiveness.
Yeah.
You know, something you said, me, personally, I've always been like, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So it kind of helps me to be present, to be attentive to my spirit, soul, and body, to be able to even know, so that I'm not like unduly, you know, trying to belong. I never try to belong. I'm so comfortable in my skin. That's why you see that, you know, people, even my children speak Yoruba, they understand, because I can be speaking Yoruba to a white man and say, you know, I'll just put in one, because I'm just very comfortable in my skin. And you would see that authenticity. There's a way it also plays out on the things you do that makes people accept you the way you are. You know, and it's not to say that you remain the same, but you continue to improve on yourself.
Evolve.
But you must identify your unique selling point.
Talking about unique selling points as well too, you are a successful woman, and of course a powerful woman as well too.
We thank God.
Really, I've come to also know that self-awareness also comes with battling with some inner fears.
Yes.
Now, someone who has also risen to the top, you know, what are some of those inner fears that you had to battle with, you know, that you also dealt with to get you to where you are?
Okay, so, you know, the truth is there's something called imposter syndrome. We all feel it, especially successful people, because you keep feeling like, oh, I've not done enough.
Yeah.
You know, I've not done enough. Oh, do I actually qualify to be in that room? Oh, yeah. But, you know, you must silence that by the louder voices of maybe the knowledge that you've you've sought to acquire, or even the right people you've surrounded yourself with. You know, once you identify that, you know what, like I have a role model. She's actually my sister as well. You know, all the years I used to feel like, oh, I can't do this, I don't know this. One day she calls me and she says, I don't want to ever hear you say that again. And, you know, this book has been launched in Lagos and Abuja. For the Lagos launch, the keynote speaker said something about your village, that everybody grows in a village, which is like your community. And she said, sometimes, just sometimes, it takes people in your village to tell you the value that you carry. So you carry that value, just like my daughter said to me once. She said, Mommy, you know, when you're in the frame, you don't see the picture. So, you know, sometimes, because you're the one carrying that value, you feel like it is normal. It is ordinary. You feel like it's ordinary. So it's when you've, you know, been intentional about, you know, doing things that the things that you do, and people have actually been touched by the things that you do. It might seem like they're everyday things. That's when they'll tell you, thank you so much. And you know, when people say, thank you for what? Listen, I just did casually. So sometimes, you know, you have to silence those voices by louder voices of quality. And then you have to also accept. You know, people in Nigeria, they think it's humility. When they say, you say, no, don't mention. Mention it today.
Take your accolades.
Take your accolades. You know, take your roses when you can smell them. There's no point. You leaving it till they not put around your casket. It's good to put roses around casket, but the one that I want to smell, give it to me today. And because that has a way of validating you. It has a way of making you know that, okay, you're doing something and you deserve a path on your back. So really, that's how I feel like we can silence those voices that tell us that we're not good enough.
That's right. Go on, Martha.
So, you know, failure is one thing that, over the weekend, I was having a conversation about failure and the attitude of failure, or the illusion of failure, where a lot of people define certain things as failure. And so it makes us very scared to even try. We don't give ourselves a chance to even try, because we feel like we're going to fail or something. Now, I want to ask, throughout your journey, were there any life-defining failures that you had that has now brought you to the point that you are
See me just smiling, see me just blushing. I'm like, this is like the conversations I like to have, you know. You know, the great Madiba, that's Nelson Mandela, says, I never fail. I either win or I learn. So it depends on our perspective. You see, every situation is what you call it. And it might seem funny, like, but that's the power of the mind. You see, for every, you said illusion of failure. Everything that seemed like, oh, I dropped the ball, I failed. That means there's a lesson for you to learn.
Totally.
And it's important to be present, be aware of that lesson so that you learn it and then you grow from it. Because if you don't learn it, no matter how painful it is, if it's a lesson you must learn on your journey, you would experience that failure again.
Yeah.
And you don't want to experience too many setbacks.
Yes, yeah.
You want to quickly learn. You want to be a smart person who learns from, you know, seeming failures and then move on quickly, because they have a way of shooting you up.
Yeah.
Your challenges build your muscles.
Right.
You know, they now present you with opportunities for growth. So it's all about our perspectives. We must get the right perspective to life. And like I said, surrounding yourself with the right people. With the right people. It's so important. Don't do sentiments, don't do emotions. Failure would never be your end. It's an opportunity for you to grow.
That's right.
To learn and grow. So you learn it and you grow. And you also help other people to learn.
To learn and grow.
That's what I'll say about that.
Well, it's, you see, like I said, these are conversations that I like to have.
Same here.
These are conversations
Yeah.
I love to have because they are not common.
Yeah.
They're not common.
Yeah.
And not many people go out to seek this knowledge. And we're just trying to be on time here. We're already mid the hour. So we'll be going out on a very short break. But remember, you can be a part of this conversation as the WhatsApp number will be displayed right on the screen. Please copy through, send us a WhatsApp message. Let us know what you think about this conversation. And if you have questions that you need to ask, do well to send them as well. Take advantage of the knowledge that we have seated right here in the studio. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you.
We go
Thank
out on
you,
a very
Martha.
short break, and when we're back, we'll keep up with this conversation. Don't go anywhere.
Correro, your front row seats to the most pressing issues from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism, and the conversations that matter. My name is Iheanacho Prince, and I invite you to this big conversation table as we analyze the top stories, ask the tough questions, and hold power to account. News that informs, analysis that empowers, debate that drives change. Correro, the big conversation, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Rapid TV.
Hello viewers at home, this is the Almighty and I'm here at the Masterminds Maiden Edition and our audition today. This is the platform where we give young mind kids from the ages of 7 to 17 the platform to express their feeling and to showcase their talent.
My name is Uzo Emanuela
Sadiq Labron Abu.
Jessica Prince. My name is Hollywood Sarah Alger Achana. My name is Golden Aisha. Special Sodun Abitaila. I am Paris Aban. Jason Aduloye.
Let's go.
This was amazing.
It was splendid.
Mastermind.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on Star Times Channel 176. Nightcom Sat. On Rapid FM, we speak your language from the soulful airwaves of Umuahia to the vibrant culture of Port Harcourt and beyond. More than broadcasters, we're creators, amplifying that voice within with powerful content across TV, radio, and digital. Join us at rbnradiotv.com and all our social media handles. One network, one voice. Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN, the sound of your city, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
My name is Akio Sakiodo.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. I go by the name Baba D.
And you're tuned into Rapid TV. I love Rapid TV.
Shout out Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid
TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it down.
Leave it like that.
Well, you know, a lot goes on behind the scene. I feel like the main show happens behind the scene.
Yes.
But
Very
anyways, we're right back up here. And if you are just joining us, we have been having all levels of intelligent conversations, one that can contribute to your growth and your development as a person. We're talking purposeful living, and we're not doing it alone. We have Mrs. Besoye Debo Olujimi, and she's the executive director Emadeb Energy Group. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
here.
Martha.
It's been an amazing conversation.
Same here. I'm having a ball. I'm enjoying myself.
That's what it should be. All right. It takes us to the next question. Obedience seems to be the fundamental trigger for writing this book.
Yes.
Could you unpack how obedience shaped not just your message, but your entire process of authorship?
Okay. So thank you so much, Martha. Like I said, the inspiration for this book came to me in February. And of course, the inspiration came with the date of the launch.
Wow.
You know the way you get an inspiration and then it says on the 14th of June, you're going to launch a book. You don't have a manuscript. You don't even have an outline yet. You don't have a topic. You don't have a title yet.
Yeah.
And like, how am I going to do this? Well, because, you know, remember I had said about every human being is made up of your spirit, soul, and body.
Yeah.
So personally, I've yielded myself, you know, to that sort of harmony, whereby I allow my spirit. So I allow myself to live from within, as opposed to, you know, if it was from outward inward, I'll be saying, I don't know, I don't have topic, I don't. But you know, in the moment at which I got the inspiration, I immediately thought, you know what, for this inspiration to come, that means it's going to be possible. Everything else would align to make it possible. So what I did was, I put my mind to it. You know, the life is governed based on principles. Principles. You know, there's the law of attraction.
Yes.
That energy. You know, when you focus your energy on what it is you're trying to do, or what it is you're supposed to be doing, ideas come to you. By like the third day, I had the download of the outline of the book.
Wow.
So I wrote it down, which is the obedience, you know, because when they tell you something, you say, no, I don't want to do that, I can't do it. You shut it out. So I now was in a state of willingness to do what I have been inspired to do. Because, you know, my journey has been very interesting. Not linear, but it has been very interesting. So, when I say it's not linear, I mean it has been like, you know. But the truth is, for every act of obedience, I get the next instruction that aligns my path to what I'm supposed to be doing. Now that I've put down the outline, everything else started to align. Because you can't just put outline inside a book and put inside cover now. It's just one page. But I started to focus. I started to listen, and then it started to grow. But you know, while I had the outline, I had someone put up on their status that they were doing author's clarity session. Have you heard that before?
I haven't.
Before then, I hadn't heard that before. I didn't think there was anything like that was possible. But because now I was in a state of obedience. I was willing. You know, the Holy Book says, if you're willing
and obedient,
you will do what? Eat the good of the land.
That's right.
Man of God.
God bless
you. That's why we need this man. You cannot. See, I didn't even want to quote it like that, but he had it ready. You know, so that's the thing. When you obey one instruction, the next comes and the next comes. And that's why we should not be anxious.
Yeah.
A lot of people live their lives just anxious, and it robs them of the value that they could get from fully living. The essence of this book, the obedience for writing this book, comes from a place of wanting to deplete the graveyard. You know the way they say the graveyard is the wealthiest place. We're changing that narrative because we're all going to die empty. So it might sound like a lonely voice in the wilderness, but you know what? We're going to be consistent with this message till the deaf starts to hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's for me. Everybody that knows me knows that my passion can light up a room, because whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So the obedience for putting this together came from also the place of me knowing that purpose is not just about me. It's about impact. It's about legacy. So if I disobey that inspiration, that lead to put this book together, then I've robbed some people. There are places this book will get to that I probably would never get to in my lifetime.
That's right.
So if I had disobeyed, or I had felt like, I don't feel like, or I don't have time, because people have asked me that, how do I manage that? How am I a wife, a mother? I run a partnership with them, said a businesswoman. I do this, and I've written a book again. I say God grants us grace for whatever He gives us.
I'm sure more is coming.
But yes, absolutely.
Well, we have some messages, right?
Oh, lovely.
Adela Martins from Surulere, Lagos State.
Oh wow.
She said, "Wow, this guest is speaking facts upon facts. You can tell she really understands the issues.
Oh wow.
It's not every day you hear someone break things down with so much clarity and sense. More of this, please," she says.
Thank you, Adeola.
And there we have Kemi Adebayo from Ibadan, or your state. She says, self-awareness is powerful. I've seen women who used to live just to please society, finally start living for themselves. It's not about being rebellious. It's about knowing your value and owning your space, right? That is Kemi. Kemi, I'm taking your knuckles.
Kemi, yes, I give it. I'm telling you, that's so apt.
Right. We also have Hawa Abdullahi from Kano State. She says, many women in northern Nigeria are just waking up to who they are. For years, we were told to keep quiet, stay small. But now you see women questioning, learning, and becoming more intentional. It's a silent revolution.
Thank you, Hawa. You know, one thing I said also in this book is the fact that it is not a function of when you wake up. The thing is, you must make sure you wake up. Not waking up will be the disaster. So the truth is, whenever you wake up, you see where I come from. They'll say, whenever you wake up is your morning. Just wake up.
That's right.
So thank you, Hawa. I'm glad that you're giving that feedback. And you know what happens when you obey also is that you give other people the permission to speak. Look at this contribution.
Right.
They're so valid. They're so like, I'm like, oh, thank God that we even gave this opportunity. So when you obey, when you put things together that ignites the other person, you give them the permission to also have their voices added to the conversation.
And you know, I really love something that you said. You talked about every human being made up of your spirit, soul, and body.
Yes.
But many times, a lot of us ignore the part of the spirit. We just face the body. You know, so we need the Gucci, we need the Prada, we need the we need everything to close. But our spirit and our soul, very important. Yes. Right. And if you pay attention to your spirit and soul, I don't think anybody ever misses it by being in tune with their spirit.
That's right.
And I know we're in an era where we're all trying to be woke, and it looks like if you
just lost me. What is woke? That's the
that's the Gen Z millennial language.
We don't lose you. You can't lose me. I'll call you back. What is woke?
Woke, like we want to be in a certain kind of way. Aesthetics. You should know aesthetics.
I know aesthetics, but it's the woke that I was confused.
You know, woke. We try to be really woke. We think, oh, this is old-fashioned. We don't supposed to, you know. And I'm sure you must have seen the story of this girl who kept Ifeanyi's testimony. I'm sure everyone was like, oh, you haven't? Oh, I'm sorry. Ask your daughter.
I'm sure she probably has.
So she was trying to explain an incident that happened between her father, his family, and all of that. And she kept mentioning, oh, the Holy Spirit said, and you'd see the comments, why are you always calling this? People were angered. I said, why are you angered by that? You know, and it's not looking like it's not the woke thing to do. But like you said, there's a physical composition. There's the spiritual composition of a man, and the soul also is a component of the man, which I think every human being that is tending towards growth should tap into. All three. So just needed to put that out there.
Fantastic.
All right. Moving on with the comment as well from our audience. Chinyere Keke from Aba, Abia State. She says, the problem is people confuse self-awareness with arrogance. When a woman knows her worth, society starts calling her difficult. we need to change that mindset and start celebrating confident women. And that is Chinwe from Aba,
Well
Abia State.
done, Chinwe. But you know, wisdom also is profitable to direct.
yeah.
You know, you can't be self-aware and not display a good
Arrogance.
measure of wisdom, because you then know when to be a certain. We see, it's not something that you just wake up and you
No.
be. You know, this book says doing and being.
Right.
It means you've done certain things, you've tried certain things, you've learned from your failures,
Yes.
or your seeming. You know, you've gotten to a place where wisdom is now
You know,
your
the
thing.
end thing.
Yes, is the principal thing.
Right.
And that's what's guiding you.
Truly.
Because there's certain settings that no matter how self-aware you are, you need to stoop to conquer.
Truly.
So wisdom.
And that is wisdom.
Yes.
Stooping to conquer.
Yes,
That's wisdom.
That's a lot of wisdom. It's not every time you say it is me, I am
My
doing
right.
something.
Yeah.
No.
There must be that place
Wisdom.
for compromise.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You must understand. You must understand. Yes. you must understand.
Fatima Bello from Kaduna State says, I think many Nigerian women are still trying to figure out who they are outside of marriage, motherhood, and tradition. And she went further to say that self-awareness is about breaking those mental limits and asking, who am I really? You know, and that is Fatima.
Fantastic.
Blessing Essien from Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Until women understand their strengths and identity, they will keep accepting less than they deserve in careers, in relationships, in life. Self-awareness is the foundation of empowerment, and that is a Blessing Essien. Thank you, Blessing, as well. Aisha Suleiman from Mina, Niger State. It's encouraging to see more women speaking up, starting businesses and sharing their stories. We've come a long way, but rural women are still far behind. Self-awareness should reach everyone,
We'll take
not
it to
just
them.
those
So we'll
in
take it to
cities.
them. It's
Yeah,
very,
not
very
just those in
important.
cities.
Take it to them.
I think let's just get to you, because our time is fast spent.
Yeah.
We're about to go. You don't want to go. Okay, the feeling is mutual. We all don't. Do you think so? Do you want to go? We all don't want to go.
No, for I'm enjoying the conversation.
Well, we are.
Yeah,
We are.
yeah.
I mean,
Thank you.
it should be
Thank
had.
you.
So if you have something to say to everyone struggling with their identity, people struggling with, owning their journey, finding themselves, what's that one thing you put out there for them?
Okay, so my take on that would be that every human being should understand that they were uniquely made. So there's something I put in the book that talks to, or that speaks to the fingerprint. You know, we're so many human beings on the face of the earth, but no one. When you go to embassy,
Yeah.
or you're at the border of somewhere, or you go for a voter's card, they'll say they want to take your fingerprint.
Yeah.
That's because nobody else has that.
It?
Yeah.
First, start from small things before we say you want to go to Harvard. Just start from knowing that
Exactly.
nobody else has
Has
my
your
fingerprint,
Yeah.
That's right.
which speaks to my uniqueness. You know, when you start to say, hey, is it true? You know, some people don't know that. As common as that knowledge may seem, my take would be that understand that you're unique. You were made uniquely. So it is not the person that gave birth to you or the schools that you went to that made you unique. There's the uniqueness of every individual by the way the maker made each of us.
Yeah.
Right.
So he had a plan in mind.
Yeah.
You might not find everything out at once, but once you understand your uniqueness, you set out to that, and you start to, follow each, step of obedience, like, we had said before.
Yeah.
And then you start to uncover. Uncover, it's like an onion. You peel. You're like, oh, so I can do this. So I'm this, I'm that. And once you get to that place, you become confident.
Right.
You see, when you've tried a few things and you failed at it, and you've like
Done it
had an
again.
opportunity to do it again, then you get to
Yeah.
a point where you're then confident.
Yeah. You know, you've been here before.
Before.
Right. Well, let's take you to speaking directly to the men watching this show right now. So what is that one thing that you would want us men to understand about self-awareness about women?
Okay, thank you so much. For men, I want you to know that women were made, we were created to support
Yeah.
and to bring value. You see, we do not want to compete. We just want to add value. We want to multiply whatever you give us. So give us positive things.
Yeah.
Just give us positive energy.
Yeah.
Give us spaces. It is not, we're not in competition.
Yeah.
We're here to do what we've been created to
To
do.
do, right.
And then we're here to do it well.
Well.
That's who we are.
Okay.
And then, we're just, and one of the comments from our viewers said something about, women finding themselves later and all of
Yeah.
that. Another thing is women wake up and then they start to find themselves after being resentful.
Yeah.
Please do not color your labor of love.
Yeah.
Do not color it by now doing whatever you're doing from a place of resentment or negative energy.
For too long.
Thank you. Don't come as though you want to retaliate.
It's not a revolution.
Do you know what I mean? Let anything that maybe you've experienced that has brought you here be your equity.
Yeah.
Let it count.
Yeah.
Don't so that I'm speaking to women now. You said I speak to men, but I need to speak to the women because if we understand how these things operate, then we would like have given the men the permission to treat us as we should be treated. But when we don't understand ourselves, men say they're trying to understand us. You've heard that thing before. They don't say you can't understand a woman something, but we need to understand ourselves for the men to understand us and to be able to treat us as we should be treated. So we are not coming with bad blood, we're not coming with bad energy, no resentment. Yes, and I do not play down on anybody's experience because I know that our experiences will be different. And you know the should I say the magnitude thank you of what you've been through would, you know, some people. But another thing as I, you know, wrap up this response is that, should I say it in Yoruba or you want me to say it in English? In Yoruba it carries more weight. If someone tells you that this is your case, they've not seen it before, they're lying. They're just trying to scare you.
Nothing is new.
Nothing is new.
All right. Thank you so much. You guys will agree with me. Like, we had one of the best moments here on TV.
That's right.
And yeah, I had a good time. Victor sure did have a good time.
Oh, I did.
I'm sure I guess
did.
had a good time.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining
I
us
had
on
an
the show.
amazing time. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Yes, guys,
Thank
if
you,
you're
ma'am.
just joining us, I'm trying to constantly remind you that we have been here with Mrs. Besoye Debo Olujimi, and she's the executive director of Emadeb Energy Group. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you so
we
much.
learned a lot from you, and we're looking forward to having you here.
Thank
That's
you.
right. Thank you so much,
so
ma'am.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'm very
Thank you.
grateful.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let's go out with myself and Victor.
That's right.
This has been an amazing day, and I'm glad that we did tell them that it was going to be an amazing day today.
Oh, yes.
And you can attest to the fact that you had a good time. I had a good time. Everybody is happy, and that is what Rapid Dawn is about. Remember, you can rewatch this episode on YouTube at Official Rapid TV. We are very much active on social media platforms, on TikTok, on Facebook, and Instagram, all other platforms, and X as well, which was formerly Twitter. You can catch us live there. Send us messages. Let us know how you feel about the programs that we bring your way. Now, the most important thing is you can carry us with you literally everywhere you go.
Right.
We have a website that is very active. It's www.albnradio.tv.com. I am Martha Alu. You can call me Martha, and I'm here.
My name is Victor. Okay, thank you for watching.
See you tomorrow. And by then it's going to be Thursday.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Beautiful.